Well, this is one of the, by far, one of the most beautiful objects that any human being has ever created. I mean, it's something I would really love to own. This combination of a sort of very pure structure that's just simply welded together, that's a known structure that you see in contemporary bicycles, you know, folding bicycles, in fact, with this beautiful organic strut. I mean, I can feel when I touch it, and by the way, I think it's a great privilege to be in a museum and to be able to touch an object. Maybe I can get away with that. It does invite you to touch it, to be with it. It has such a strong body line, and it has a fixed saddle position, which means often that products like this are made bespoke for an individual. I like that idea. I like that idea of individualism. But this is the place where you are and you touch. What I find kind of charmingly extraordinary is that some of these elements, like the handlebars and the brakes, all of the transmission, they're all standard. They've been very well selected. There's the Shimano crank and everything, and the fact that there's a certain lightness, a purity of engineering in it, but it's beautifully selected. Even this quick release mechanism on the back wheel, one of the most beautiful design elements I've ever seen. If that was in cutlery, I'd buy it. So, you know, the whole thing, there isn't a detail on here which hasn't either been curated or created. So it's part evolution and it's part existence. So this idea of objects existing or not existing is very debatable, you know. I know this is a unique piece, it's a one-off, and that disappoints me. It disappoints me because I think you should see these around life. I think that should be. It doesn't not exist because of the cost, because there are things that are far more expensive to build today. This in carbon fiber, made by a contemporary maker, would be easy. You could easily do that. And then the rest is, you could do these in titanium or something, or even carbon struts. This object passed through someone like me, if it was allowed to do that, if I was allowed to do that, with an engineer, could make that a reality. I don't see that as a problem, that you can't pass it on generationally as a gift to a friend. You know, why not? In return, I'd like to own one. You know, I've designed 3 or 4 bicycles now, and when you do design a bicycle, first of all, it's very hard to find a new structural typology, because most bicycles are a diamond frame. When Mark Newson did his first bicycle for Biomega, it had this lovely S frame, which was like one of the original carbon endurance bicycle frames. But very well done. And when I was asked by Biomega to make a bicycle, I thought, well, what the hell do I do? So I decided to shift my technology, and I moved into carbon, and I took a shape that went from here right back to the back hub, and then forward to where the pedals are. You could only do that in carbon because of the stiffness of the material. Given a chance to do it again, I would lean it all out, I would make it more organic. I would sculpt it. I would probably sculpt it with my bare hands, and then I would scan it, and then I would let the computer tighten it up. So there's the hand of the master, the designer, the sculptor, embedded in the object, which you feel here. And I have to do this because I love it. Taken into something more precise and digitized. What blows my mind with Luigi is, because I've been to his studio, is all this is done by hand. And it doesn't look like it. The lines are, you know, the highlights are absolutely perfect. I mean, I have a light on this saddle element now, and the light doesn't have any distortion. A little bit, you know. And I have eyes which can go plus or minus 1 millimeter easy. I do that in my studio. I say that's wrong. They say no, it's not. I say it's wrong because it's out. So this whole transition now into a time when computers can help us change the shape of cars or cameras in the hands of somebody who has a sculptor's eye, but also somebody who has a good engineering reflex. I wouldn't even say knowledge, but a good instinctive position on engineering. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. They always said, you know, Concorde would have existed because the engineers through physics would have found that shape after Barnes-Wallis. But Michelangelo's David would not. It was a series of circumstances in the hands of Michelangelo getting the block down the mountain, which took a few hundred years. You know, it stayed on the mountain for a long time because nobody knew how to get the block down. And then eventually to find that form inside a block, plus or minus 9 centimeters, is pretty amazing. It could only exist once. So that's why that's in a museum, and maybe a hamburger is not.